Welcome. This is my little demo of what my tiny house is going to be. My name is Corey. This is my first tiny home. This is also one of my first times using SketchUp. Well, this is my first time using SketchUp. When I first designed what I wanted the tiny home to be, I made a very basic image. This is what you're looking at right now, the most basic image of what I designed the tiny house to be. I did most of my plans on paper, and then once I figured out what I wanted, I started working with the program and getting comfortable with the program. So this was the first attempt at a design on the computer. Now, at this point, I didn't own any of the windows or wood or the roofing material, so I was just kind of keeping everything really general, really basic. And so I'm just showing you these clips to give you the general idea of what the house is going to be, what the layout's going to be. I'll take the roof and the wall off so you can see on the inside what we're looking at here. The door, as you saw, would be right here. You would walk in, you have two lofts inside, a loft here and a secondary loft over there. You would walk in kind of underneath the loft, and then you would have a staircase right here that goes along the rear wall that would go up to the main sleeping loft. The kitchen is right here, and it's probably going to actually be an L-shaped kitchen. This cabinet I actually just downloaded from SketchUp. Somebody had already built it and they put it on for other users to download and throw into their models, and same with the refrigerator and the ladder. Those are all just part of the program that was downloaded. So yeah, you would walk in, you'd have this vaulted ceiling right over your head. Under the secondary loft is a bathroom and the shower, so we can take off the interior wall and you can take a look at that. The toilet and the shower. Notice above the toilet I took advantage of that open space and put in a little storage compartment that you would access from the top. You just remove this floor panel and you'd be able to reach down there. So that's just a general idea of what the tiny home is going to look like in the end. I have a more detailed description of how I plan on going about building it. This is that more detailed description. I'll start with the trailer. I didn't do too much detail in the trailer just because it's designed to be built to hold the tiny house, and so there wasn't any alteration I was going to make. I didn't find it necessary to spend the time on the computer and making it perfect. But the difference of what's on the program and what's in reality would be that instead of a solid sheet of metal down here in between the frame of the trailer, it's just little ribs that run the width of the trailer across. It's about every 2 or 3 feet. There's a bar that runs across there, and that's what you would rest your subfloor joist on. But there is this gap in here, this little drop that allows you to drop your subfloor joist and your insulation, and then just run a layer of sheathing over top of that. So you'll see what I did first. I built 3 sections of these subfloor joists to run like this. And then I dry fit them into the trailer, made sure they all fit together well, and then I threw the flashing on the bottom of them and dropped them in one at a time. So I dropped the flashing, I just nailed the flashing to the bottom of these sections, and then dropped this section in. And this section, the flashing had a little bit of overlap coming this way, and then I would nail the flashing onto this section and drop it into place, and so that overlap would run a little bit further, and so if driving down the road, if you were driving in the rain, water would just splash up here, it would run off, and then just like a shingle on the bottom of the trailer, it would just run off and run to the next one and then keep running off. And then finally I put the flashing on this last one and then dropped it into place. After that I threw in some insulation. That's rock salt insulation. It's built for wood, 2x6, 24-inch on center. And then to make up for a little gap that was these 2x6 studs are actually 5.5 inches wide, and so it created a half-inch gap there. I needed to compensate for that, so I threw in half-inch plywood. Let's see if I can find that on here. There it is, half-inch plywood to make the top of this plywood run flush with the flange on the outside, and then I threw on my subfloor sheathing there, and you notice the subfloor sheathing and the half-inch plywood, the length of it, the seams are offset, and all the seams do line up with one of the joists in the bottom. So you see this joist takes a ½ inch ply, and then the joist that was over here will take the actual subfloor sheathing, which was 23/32, I believe. And so everything on this trailer that you see right here, that's all done and current. That's what I have in my front yard right now on the build site. And now this is what I'm going into hopefully this week. I've got all the wood ordered. All these windows are at my house. The only thing I don't have is a door over here and a window for the bathroom. Now you'll notice a difference between this video and or this model and the really basic model that I first designed on SketchUp was that this model has this bay window in the bathroom area, and the basic version did not. I added this on later in the game just as a kind of a little addition to the bathroom. It's going to have a sink and a little bit of extra cabinets, and then a little bit of extra storage as well. I did take in account that this bay window is going to be hanging over the tongue, but it's not going to interfere with the operation of the lift, the little crank that lowers the wheel and allows you to raise and lower the tongue of the trailer. And it's not going to get in the way of the truck that's going to be towing the trailer whenever I move it. So I didn't want it to, just in case the truck jackknifes the trailer, it's not going to hit the house here. It can hit the trailer if screw up while driving, but it won't hit the house. Alright, some things to take note of. Well, I have these, let's see, it's all 24" on center, 2x4s. Everything's designed, as close to building code as I know of. I designed the windows, the rough openings, all to be a ½ inch wider on top and the side, so that in the end it's going to have a 1/4 inch of play around each side. You'll see it's fit snug right there, but up on this corner there's a ½ inch gap on both sides, so that when I actually put the window in, it'll be a 1/4 inch all the way around, and that's just to allow it to kind of fit into place correctly. Right here is all the headers are made of the 2x4 sandwiched with a little slice of ½ inch plywood, and then these horizontal studs that run across are just there for extra support on the wall framing, so that it doesn't shift or I don't know, kind of sag sideways at all. An engineer had told me to do that, so I figured he had more experience, and yeah, I'd just do it. And then the same thing is probably more important on this back wall because it's a little bit taller. And this is 8 feet from the ground, so that when I stand up my plywood, it'll come up here, and you can nail the top of the plywood right in along that 2x4, and then they're zigzag, they're offset, just so, because you need to do that just when you're nailing. There's no way you can nail it in there if they're flush with each other or even with each other. Let's see, the roof is 2x6, and that's still 24 on center. All of the roof rafters line up with the vertical stud on the walls, so it helps with the weight dispersion. And then down here above the wheel well, I don't plan on putting weight on the wheel well because I don't believe it's designed for that, so I did another header right here, and that'll attach into the frame. And I'll probably build this so that it's broken up into 3 sections. I'll probably frame this whole section here, frame the middle section above the wheel well, and then frame this section, and then throw them up as 3 different walls, attach them together, and then allow for this double top plate to kind of run the overlap and really join them as one unit rather than 3 units once they're up. Let's see, one of the things I have to give a shout out to Tamarack Engineering for meeting up with me and talking over the design, giving me different materials to use, and pointing out some of the flaws that I had earlier on in the design. And one thing that he told me that I really think, let's see, that's Tamarack Grove Engineering, that's in Boise, Idaho. One of the things that he told me that I really think was a good idea was to lift this loft here so that it came across, and when I throw the flooring on this loft, it's gonna butt right up against the bottom of this stud right here, all these studs right here, and then that's going to prevent this wall from buckling in with any headwind as it's moving down the highway, whenever I have to move it, because with this bay window I wasn't able to run studs all the way down the entire length of the wall here, and one of his concerns was that that's kind of a weak area, and it's good to have this loft here to help support it, to prevent the wind from pushing it in and folding, and the wall folding in on itself. You'll notice I have these kind of little metal attachments here to help support the strength of the walls, and I plan on using hurricane straps, Simpson hurricane straps for those, but I didn't really design them into the program because I do plan on hopefully just finding some used or getting some stumbling across some at some secondhand supplier. So I'm not exactly sure what type I'll be using. I was looking around on Simpson's website and I found several that'll work well. This one is seems to work pretty well. I like that. I also like the H2.5A. So I'll use one of these to help tie everything together, and that'll provide a lot of strength to the overall building. I'll probably put those in every other vertical stud, and then on every other vertical stud along the walls, and on every rafter along the roof. Well, we can throw on the exterior sheathing, and all these colors, all the stuff is subject to change because, like I said, I do plan on trying to find most of my materials or get them secondhand, so it's really going to be whatever comes my way, I'll throw it in. But I just put the exterior on this house just as an idea of what it might look like. And then one last thing I'll show you before I end the video is the interior stairs and refrigerator. It'll probably look something like that, just walking up the stairs to the loft, and refrigerator right there, which this looks kind of silly with the staircase ending right where the refrigerator is, but I don't really think that'll be too big of a deal because you'll walk up from this way and then turn and go up, and I don't think that'll be a problem at all. Well, let me know what you think. Yeah, any feedback would greatly be appreciated.